thank you for doing this. You reached out to me on TikTok. Now, let me ask you why. What was the reason that you reached out to me?
Okay, so first off, I was just going about my day in the morning, getting myself prepared for work, and I stumbled across the video. I guess with you, the three young men, the other trans woman, and the other female, and yourself. And I sat there and watched it. I don't normally do a whole lot of uh, broadcast watching, but I had the time, so I sat there and watched it. Um, and I felt like in watching it, I felt like me being transgendered was not being represented in the correct way. And this is no shots to her. This is no, I mean, everybody lives in their own truth. Everybody has their own story to tell everybody. So before I even began, I wanted to be known that I have no intentions of being disrespectful to any class or group of people. I respect and love everyone. So the things that I talk about are going to be related to me because I can't speak for a whole group of people. There may be some that resonate with what I say, but in watching that video, I just felt like I was not represented the correct way. And so therefore I wanted to speak as it relates to me. Because one thing I understand about social media is that people, they grasp a perception based on an individual. And a lot of times people don't know how to change the narrative and say, okay, that's just coming from that one person. They'll take the narrative and say, okay, well, she's speaking for an entire community and look at what this is, look at what she's saying. So I just want to make sure that my side is heard.
Okay. So now what was it about the video or what the young lady said, the trans woman said, that you were like, okay, this is not a good representation, or it's not a representation of me?
So there were a few things. I mean, there were things such as when you guys were talking about how, she meets men per se.
If a man comes up and asks you, are you a fish? Are you answering that question truthfully?
It depends on how good they look.
So what does that mean?
If they look top notch, baby, I'm whatever you want me to be.
If you have sex with somebody and they have an STD and they knowingly give you that STD, isn't there ramifications for that?
Yeah.
So don't you think there should be the same ramifications for if you lie about your gender? Like,
But how did you lie?
You lied about your gender.
I
didn't lie. I didn't tell you anything.
It's just like lying.
Yeah, you knew what it was.
You didn't ask.
Do you think that men that talk to women and they don't know their age, you never asked, you never told me, are they justified because they didn't ask or find out?
It depends.
Per se, right? Like telling the gentleman what you are prior to, having a conversation, getting their telephone number, that part, talking about calling female fish and talking about, all those things like kind of like threw me off. So, and there were a series of things. The video I think was like an hour long. So
it was. So what I'll do is I'll go through what I really wanted to know from her, and she was not able to explain.
Okay.
Clearly.
Okay.
So let's go back to the beginning, right?
Okay.
When did you realize that you wanted to live a different way than how you were born?
30 years ago. So I am 42, soon to be 43. I have been transgender now since the age of 11. So my life started to change at the age of 11. And it wasn't because of how I was raised. I grew up with the male figure in the home. I grew up with the female figure in the home. I had both grandparents on both sides of my family. I didn't even know a gay person when I started to come into the world as a transgender woman. So for me, this was just natural me. can I emphasize this? It's not so much as, I heard some things where it's like, yeah, I grew up in this house with all these. I'm not making no excuses for any of that. I am who I am because I'm who I am. I didn't see it. It wasn't taught to me. I didn't hear about it. My mom didn't have a whole bunch of gay friends coming over. Like none of that was my story. Now I'm only speaking on my story once again. None of that was my story, but that was my truth. Was that this is who I was to be, and I knew that at an early age. I
Now,
knew that I was.
how did you know that? I think that's the $1,000,000 question that a lot of people want to know. So from your experience, how did you just know as an 11-year-old, right? Because at 11, we think a lot of different things, right? Like,
Right.
I want to be Wonder Woman. I want to be Superman. I want to be this. This is who I am. How did you know at 11 that you were not supposed to be a boy?
So I think that it all started, with just the way I view people.
Mhm.
You know, quite naturally at 11, 12 years old, you kind of feel you're strong in your belief because you don't know any better. Right. So there were things that I did in my teenage years to ensure that this is what I wanted to do, that this is where I should be. This is what, that my belief factor was not just some made up theory in my head. Um, I knew that, looking at little girls, I never viewed women as, oh, she's cute. I looked at them like, that's my sister. I never looked at a woman like, oh, wow. Even going into 16, 17, 18, I never had that clicking sound that said, oh, wow. Oh, if she looked good to me, the perception was, oh, she's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman, but
Now,
never,
could
never.
that have been that maybe you were gay
So
versus
that could have that could very well have possibly been. But now, once again, living in my story,
Mhm.
I did not, and please, community, don't bash me for this, but I did not necessarily like the image of man and man. So that did not suit me. And not only did it not suit me, but I just felt like I am who I am. And I don't think that it has nothing to do with this theory that I feel like a woman.
Like, what does that mean? I feel like a woman.
I feel like I am a woman. I got the look, I got the talk, I got the walk, I got it all.
So does it mean that when you dress like a woman, that makes you a woman?
No, just because you dress like a woman don't mean you are a woman.
When you say I feel like a woman,
You have to have the mentality. Like me personally,
Mhm.
I have the mentality like I've been trans for like 4 years now. So it's like I'm still fresh but not fresh. I feel like a woman. Every day I wake up, I feel like a woman. I see myself, I know I look like a woman. I know this is who I want to be. I don't want to be nobody
Like
else.
a
but
woman.
this.
Because to be honest with you, I don't know what a woman feels like. I don't know what you
I'm
feel
glad
like.
you said that. I'm
I
glad
don't
you
know what
said
you
that.
feel like.
Okay.
I am Monica. That's it. Your perception of Monica can be whatever your perception of Monica is, but Monica is Monica. Monica feels like Monica. I can't tell you how a man feels. I can't tell you how a woman feels because I'm not them. All I can tell you is how Monica feels. And I think that that's the problem is that everybody feels that they have to have a right answer when they're answering that question. But the reality of it is there is no right question, no right answer, because you can't answer a question if you can't experience it. It's no different than you losing your mother and me losing my mother. I can't say how you're going to feel
Yeah.
about losing your mom. I know how I'm going to feel about mine. But even we're never going to share the same feeling. No more than two women. Your womanhood and another woman's hood, another woman in her womanhood, you and your truth, her and her truth is never going to be the same. Now, will your bodies go through similar things? Absolutely. But will you be able to express as a woman how this woman feels? Absolutely not.
And I think that's the most intelligent, honest answer that I've heard because I've done a lot of like watching a lot of videos. I've talked to a lot of trans women, and they all go on this feeling, and you verbalize exactly what I couldn't put into words. Stop saying what you feel. This is just who you are.
Exactly.
Right? That's
Who I
it.
am. It's
You
not
can't
about
say
it's not about me trying to be you. I'm not trying to be you. I'm trying to be Monica. And I think that the moment people open their minds and just say, hey, hell with a label. To hell with a label. Okay. I don't agree with the trans word. I don't agree with any of those things, but it's a label that they plagued me with. Okay, great. I'll accept it, move forward.
Mhm.
But for me, I'm just Monica.
So
I have
now, what is it
heterosexual
about the
friends. I have
trans
gay
word?
friends. I have all types of friends.
But what
And
is it about the trans word that you don't like?
so for me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like labels, period. I don't think it has anything to do with it being the word trans. I just think that for me, when we hold on to a label, we tend to define the label and we want to walk in the label. You get where I'm coming from? If when I was growing up, it really wasn't a trans word. You feel me? It was just you were just who you were. As the years have evolved, it has become this big supernatural thing of trans. You have the trans. You got all these different ways to verbalize sexuality. You have all these different ways to verbalize what a person likes. You have all these different words to verbalize. That's all we know how to do is stigmatize ourselves and plague ourselves with words. And then we feel protected by the word. And the word absolutely means absolutely nothing. That's the problem. The words mean nothing. But the issue that I have is when we take a class of people and we have one individual, right? We have one individual, and that one individual will go in to do something, and then it becomes the entire community. That's an issue for me because I'm a well-respected transgendered woman. I work. I'm not going to get into what I do for a living, but I'm very successful in what I do for a living. Okay. I'm a homeowner. I'm financially stable. I'm a high six-figure income earner. You feel me? I raise children, have raised many of people's children, whom are all heterosexual. Never taught them to do anything other than what they want to be and do what they want to do. But when I have people that are coming to me and say, hey, we thought that all of y'all were the same, that becomes a problem for me. It's no different than looking at a woman who's a prostitute and saying all women are prostitutes. It's no different than looking at an African-American man who don't take care of his children and say that all Black men don't take care of their children. We can't put everybody in a bubble because it's unfair. For me, someone like me who goes out, feed the homeless, who takes people's children in, you feel me, who goes out here and nurture people, who goes out here and support different communities, who goes out here and protest against anything that's wrong. It's unfair to people like me.
I
who
think
love to
social
look-
media did this. Social media kind of put the I want to say the bad fruits, like even when it comes to the Black men against Black women, it's like all of the negative stereotypes are pushed in our face. So if we don't have trans people or LGBT people in our lives, what we see is what we think everything is, right? Now you and I are about the same age. I'm a little bit older, but I remember because I had a trans cousin who was older than me. So she passed away a couple of years ago, but she would have been like maybe 55 about now.
Okay.
That era, it wasn't even trans. They used to call themselves drag queens back then, right? They would just say, I'm a drag queen or I'm a tranny are the terms that I heard and that I was familiar with. I think and my cousin stayed within this space where it wasn't like pushing it off on anybody or making people just accept like, hey, I'm a woman or I'm just as much woman as you. Like she kind of was like had the same ideals that you have. So I'm going to ask you, do you think it's the newer generation that is perpetuating this whole I am a woman too, trans women are better, we can compete and be in your spaces because we're women too? Like, do you think it's more of the Gen Z millennial trans women that's doing that?
So that's a really good question.